Stop trying to scare us. Come on. What? Eggshell shield.
You are watching Omnis Protocol. I am Charles, also known as Omnis, and I'm here with Jacob, aka the man behind Xavier Protocols. What's going on, sir?
Yeah, no, it's been a good day here. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
It is. And we also have Jamie, aka the Seraphim, also here for the hot takes.
Hey!
So, watchers, what we're doing for this particular episode, this is our player predictions, and we are going to bet alcohol on the outcome of these predictions. So we're going to lay out the rules for you real quick. Everybody has 2 player predictions. You are trying to have some of the spiciest takes that will happen. And so when I drop a prediction, the other 2 can bet beers against whether my prediction happens or not. And if it doesn't, I owe them the beers that they bet. If it does happen, they owe me the beers that they bet. Additionally, if everyone agrees with your prediction, then you owe them beers. And we'll have a final interesting bonus round as well. So I'm just going to lay into this thing right away. So here is my first prediction. And I thought Jay would have just loved this prediction, because I'm going to say Recalibration Matrix is going to come back in force. What's going to happen is people are going to play Thanos. They're going to realize that Thanos almost certainly wants to have Recalibration Matrix. Then they're going to realize just how good it is, and it is going to start seeing tons of play in their 5. And I'm going to say that with competitive players, mind you, by the end of summer, you're going to see Recalibration Matrix in their 5 cards more than you see Brace for Impact. So, with my first prediction, Jacob, are you want to bet against me on this one?
I think that's an easy one for me. I think I can see what you're saying. I really like Recalibration Matrix with Avengers. I can see how it applies to Thanos. I don't think that it's going to be being seen more than Brace for Impact. So I think that is one I'm happy to take you up on.
Okay, so are you going to bet me 1 beer, 2 beers? Like how deep?
1 beer, just one
beer. Okay.
What,
Jamie,
hey,
if you really think I'm wrong and you want to bet multiple, go for it. So Jamie, where are you at on this one? Agree, disagree?
Disagree. I like Recalibration Matrix a lot, but I don't think it's going to see more play than Brace. More people are going to be using Brace, to the point I will bet you 5 beers.
5 beers.
Whoa.
Okay, this
5 beers. That's how confident I do not think this will actually happen.
Okay, so well, I guess one of us is getting the other trashed is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we're going to see, because we're going to play games in Vegas here in like a month or so. So I'm going to have a personal opportunity to see if I can dissuade you or persuade you one way or the other.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do have a plan for a bunch of games coming up.
Well, at least I didn't come out of the gate swinging lightly. So, Jacob, what's your first prediction?
Okay, my first one is I think Nebula is going to become the most popular 2-threat character.
Interesting. Do you want to defend this point at all before we...
Sure. I think a lot of people are going to be playing Black Order, and a lot of people are going to be playing Thanos. I think she takes the buff from Thanos really well. Those extra dice with all her rerolls that she's going to get, like low 80% of the time when she's targeting pretty much anyone on the table, because they're nearly always near a secure or have an extract. I think that she's also going to see a lot of play in Cabal. People have been playing Rocket, but where I think the crises are going to be going, I think that Nebula is going to play into that better than Rocket does. So I think she's going to see a lot of play in Cabal as well. And if you think about it, think about what are your other options. You've got Okoye. Now, Okoye is only really seeing play in Wakanda, so I'm not seeing her in a wider context. You've got Black Widow, the Corset Black Widow, but you've people who are taking her currently, we've got Agent Widow coming out, so maybe that's going to suppress the popularity of Corset Black Widow when she's competing for roster slots directly with herself. And finally, you've got Rocket, who just goes down too easily. Nebula, I think she's great in Asgard as well, because she's got her auto heal 1, and then she can heal another one. Suddenly that 4 health suddenly feels like 6 health.
Okay. Well, Jamie, why don't you take the first stab at this one? Betting with or against?
I'm betting with. I agree 100% with Jacob on that one. Yes, I do. In Black Cabal, she's a perfect target for Press of Failure. You know, she does what you want in Cabal that none of the other 2.0s do, like you just mentioned. I didn't even consider the Asgard route. That was, holy shit, I need to go back and look at my Asgard rosters now to see if I can fit Nebula in there. That was nice. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with 2 beers in agreement on this one.
Well, I don't think you have to bet 4. It's just
I'm betting 4
if you go against.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I'm gonna. Okay, so I'm not sure how the rules work in this case because I'm gonna go against. As much as I just want to like go agree and then force you to give me a beer, I'm gonna go against both of you guys on this one. But I'm gonna go all in and say I disagree with this one, and I disagree with this one as much as Jamie disagrees with my first one, and so I'm gonna go the full 5 beers and go. I am disagreeing, but I don't know how much I owe Jamie if I'm wrong. Like, how does that math work?
If you're wrong, then you owe 7. That's how this is working. We're adding them together.
Okay.
Well, so here's
we'll figure that out. But okay, so I'm glad we've got a bit of dissent here. I know they're just a beer, but go on. Why not Nebula then?
So I do think Nebula is going to get more play because I do think she's going to fit into Black Order nicely. And I do see her in Guardians in a lot of like 6-character teams. I think she's going to be a very viable character. But if I'm going to pick the order that I think they're going to see play, I still think Nebula's at the bottom. I still think every other 2-threat character is going to see more play than she does because they all slot in really nicely. Like, I love Okoye in my Asgard roster. I think Okoye fits really well, even potentially into Avengers rosters, especially if you're going with Agent Widow. I think Okoye slots in so nicely for the Meteors teams, and she's a 3 defense that loves being like kind of up in the middle of things. And then obviously Rocket's going to see a lot of play in Guardians. He's actually a perfectly viable Black Order character as well. He'll get to that injured side for sure. And so while I think Nebula is, especially with Thanos, like Nebula and Thanos is just fantastic. Like, I wish she was a Black Order character, but man, most played, no way. No way at all. Not even close. Not even second or third most played.
You asked for spicy.
Okay. All right. So Jamie, what is your first prediction?
My first prediction is at the end of the summer, we will see the most popular list is going to be Thanos Wave, which is Thanos, Black Panther, Shuri as the base, and then adding as you increase threat level.
So I think I'm responding to this one first. Are we saying that it's the best? I mean, because interesting. I do think that is a very, very good team. Do I think that it is going to be the strongest team? I'm going to say no, but not by a lot. I'm not like in a staunch disagreement on this one. Because my initial testing has felt like Thanos is kind of vulnerable there. And I think in particular, I think Galaxy Wave playing Guardians at 15 is the strongest 15 threat team. Like, if anyone tries to force Guardians to play into Gamma Shelters, they're like, oh yeah, like plucky attitude all the way. They're really strong if anyone tries to force them into Gamma Shelters. And so I don't think that they will quite be the strongest, but would it be the most popular? I do think it's really good. So I'm just going to go 1 beer. I don't think you're right, but I do think it's going to be really good. And I don't think it's going to be like a really, really clear cut at the end of this where it's like, no way, like Jamie's totally wrong. I think it's just going to be like, it's good, but it's not quite what you thought it was going to be.
All right,
Jacob?
I think I'm going to pick you up on, so if you said strongest, then maybe I'd have had more doubt about this, but most popular. What I've seen is people aren't very hot on playing Black Panther and that whole Wakandan thing. I think Thanos is going to see a huge amount of play. People are really excited by him, and rightly so. He's going to be great fun to play with, and he's actually really good. But I don't think that. Do you know what I think it comes down to? I think it comes down to play style. I think a lot of people who are playing this game are wanting to take this list and smash them together, and that's not what that does. That's a much more sort of finesse control style, and certain players love that. I love that, but I don't think it's going to be popular in that regard. So for that reason, I'm going to go in for 3 beers against you.
Ooh. Whoa. Okay.
Ooh.
Not a 5 beer.
Okay.
Okay. Well, at least we haven't been agreeing with each other.
Yes. Yes. It does also mean that when Charles and I go over to the UK, it's going to be a whirlwind of a weekend.
Yeah. One way or another, we'll have to do like a Zoom meeting where we buy each other the appropriate beers and then talk about all of the stuff afterwards.
Oh, I'm down for that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll record it.
Yeah. Okay, so next round then. I am going to go with, I had a couple prepared for this, and I was kind of torn as to which one that I should go. But based on some of the things that you guys have said, you have settled me into my which of the two to pick. And I'm going to say by the end of the summer, we will be in agreement that Guardians of the Galaxy is the affiliation to beat, and they are the strongest overall affiliation. I think they will dominate at the low levels because of their versatility in low-threat characters. I still think they're going to heavily play Black Panther and Shuri integrated into Wakanda teams. But I think once we have Drax and Ronan and people start playing Guardians, they are going to be very, very, very strong. And I think it's going to be, in a lot of people's minds, like, what is my plan against Guardians? They're going to be one of the first teams that can really reliably play 6 characters in, like, say, the 18 or 19 threat area, where they're going to be able to, like, line up 3 characters and 3 characters versus, like, the Cabal 2 towers sort of setup. And they're gonna start creating a lot of problems for a lot of teams. So I'm saying Guardians of the Galaxy, by the end of the summer, will be viewed as the affiliation to beat. Let's reverse the order on this one.
Okay.
And so, Jamie, why don't you predict with or against me? Should I specify that Thanos is probably going to be in a lot of those rosters? Does that help?
No, it doesn't really, because I don't think that the Guardians team that you're thinking of, the very wide Guardians, like Guardian Wave style, is going to hold up against a more Days KO focused team. So I honestly think that, yeah, people might play Guardians a little bit more, but Guardians is probably going to end up folding to teams like Cabal or Black Order. I don't think that they're going to be the top affiliation. I still feel that the top affiliation is going to be Wakanda. So, yeah, I'm going to 5 beer this one too.
5 beer.
Yeah, I'm going in hard on this one.
I get to.
Do you know other numbers?
You do realize I get to personally challenge you on this one.
Yes.
Like next month, we will have the Guardians characters, and I can run you through the ringer, and we'll come out of that one way or another feeling like this is going to be one I feel like I can either I'm going to sway my opinion and be like, man, I just lost to Jamie game after game after game with Guardians, or you're be like, I never beat Guardians at all. I was wrong. So, all right.
It'll make for an interesting follow-up for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, again, the wording of this is really interesting, because I think I might agree with you that maybe Guardians could be a top tier, right up there, competitive faction. But I think it takes those a bit more skill than some other factions take to play. I think choosing your team tactics cards and knowing when to play them and when to ditch them is a very high skill floor thing to do. So having that and the learning process that's required to get to the stage where you can do it reliably, I think people aren't going to be of that opinion. I don't think they're going to be seeing that strength, maybe because there's not going to be the players locally who have put in that work to get to where they need to be in order to be able to do that. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am betting beers against you.
Fair enough.
And I think this feels like a 2 to me.
Okay.
2 beers.
Well, I can see your guys' points. It's been an interesting test, and I think one of the reasons why I've been liking it more than like Wakanda Wave is that Wakanda Wave, you definitely want to hold. You need to know when to hold back. And a lot of the times the Guardians are ready to start dazing characters. And so it does flow a little bit more naturally where you make a little bit more attacks with them and they end up being pretty successful. So, well, it'll be interesting. I was willing to go out on a limb for this one. I wanted my second one to be super spicy. And I'm not even sure it was spicier than my first one now. But, all right. So, Jacob, what are you thinking for your second prediction?
Okay, my second prediction is that sibling rivalry will see more play than cosmic invigoration.
Okay, you have to defend this one. I need some thoughts here.
I was thinking, right, what are the characters coming out that we need to deal with? What are going to be the problem characters people are going to be looking for answers for? And they were thinking about Thanos. We're thinking about Corvus Glaive, potentially with a reality gem. We're thinking about new Black Widow. We're thinking about maybe Hawkeye. And I was thinking, right, well, who works well against those characters? And every time I was like, well, there's Loki, but who else? Oh, Loki's good, but who else is good? And so I was thinking, well, people are going to be including Loki way more because he's got such good tools to deal with some of these big problem characters. Now, I thought of going with just, Loki, we're going to see loads of Loki, but that's kind of, you guys wouldn't go for that. I think we are going to see a lot more Loki. I think he's going to be really key to answering a lot of these question characters we're going to be seeing coming up in the coming months. But at the same time, I thought maybe I could say, Thor's coming down. But then I'm not sure if I think that Thor is going to see a lot less play because he still fits into loads of affiliations really well. Yeah. He's still just a really solid character. And it just comes down to the fact he can hand out stagger so reliably. I think that's huge for him. So we're seeing lots of Thor. We're seeing lots of Loki. And sibling rivalry is just really good. You get a position effect. You get 3 damage, which is about as much as you can hope to generate from most attacks. 3 automatic damage, and you get status effects from 1 card. It's a really powerful card. Yes, you have to have the 2 characters. Yes, they have to be close to each other, but I think it's really good. It also enables a whole load of different plays that you can have. Factor into that, why did I pick Cosmic Invigoration? I think that Cabal players are going to start to see that Cosmic Invigoration is maybe not as strong as Dark Reign, and maybe they're going to be favoring Dark Reign over Cosmic Invigoration. I think also Cabal is going to be seeing less play because its play style is very similar to the play style of Black Order in terms of a go out and kill people list. And I think Black Order is going to do it in a more fun way with newer characters as well. So we're going to see, I think, a shift away from Cabal towards Black Order. Now, if I'd have said we're going to see more Loki, you wouldn't have gone for it. If I'd have said Thor's going to be as popular as he is now, give or take, you wouldn't have gone for it. If I'd have said Cabal's going to go down, you wouldn't have gone for it. If I'd have said that Dark Reign is going to be more popular than Cosmic Invigoration, maybe you'd have gone for it, but probably not. But putting all 4 of those together, how can I put all 4 of those together? Let's compare sibling rivalry to Cosmic Invigoration.
Okay, so it's really weird because I kind of disagree with some of your core concept here, but at the same time, if I were to say, look at the situation and go, if we took a tournament of like a lot of the stronger players from around the world and looked at all of the rosters and, by the end of summer, would I see more Cosmic Invigoration throughout those rosters or more sibling rivalry? I think we are going to see more sibling rivalry, right? Because it fits in a few more rosters where there are going to be more on average, because I think Cabal is still going to be relatively popular. Yeah. And I think a lot of them will run Cosmic Invigoration. I'm not sure it's going to see more play. I'm not sure it's going to drop in play compared to Dark Reign as they want to include characters like Thanos and things like that, because Cosmic Invigoration works on Thanos. Dark Reign does not. But overall, I think I agree because I think Sibling Rivalry is a very good card. I think Loki's play is going to go up, and so Thor will probably stay about the same. Loki will go up, and I think a fair amount of them will include Sibling Rivalry. So I think I'm just going to agree on this one. No spiciness here. If Jamie bets against, we'll see.
I am actually betting against. I think that Cabal will actually be a little bit more invigorated by the inclusion of Black Order. We're going to see Cabal affiliations with Black Order characters doing the Cabal thing where we kill. I mean, just off the top of my head thinking about Red Skull with Corvus and Reality Gem and Proxima in a kill focused team. That's what's going to do it. And then Cosmic Invig on Corvus, that's kind of going to blow it away. And I almost feel like, Jacob, you're arguing against yourself because in your previous point, you said that people just want to take this list and smash them together. And that's what Cosmic Invigoration does. It lets you smash two lists together, whereas Sibling Rivalry is more of a finesse card. So I'm definitely going against, but I'm going to hedge my bets a little and go with 3 beer.
That's a hedge?
3 beers is
That's
a
my
hedge.
biggest bet.
Yeah.
3 beers is a hedge? I mean, you could do 3 beers in an hour and not be drunk.
Okay, well, let's see. So, Jamie, you have one more to pitch us, right?
Yes, I have one more.
Are we getting the hot sauce now? Is this?
I think. Well, it depends on how you guys are going to take this. So my prediction is, and I don't think this is going to come at the end of the summer, but this is definitely something that's going to come soon, is Drop Off will be the first tactics card that gets nerfed by AMG.
So I guess,
what do you mean by nerfed? Do you mean included on their restricted list? Is that your definition of nerfed?
Either included on the restriction list or eroded so that it is not as degenerate as it is now. So an increase in cost or a change in the size requirements, something along those lines, to make it less of a degenerate card, because it is textbook.
Okay, well, let's clarify this a little bit, because if you're including the qualification of is it going to be one of the restricted cards when they create that format, of course it's going to be one of the restricted cards in that format. Like, that's not spicy at all. So if that is the bar,
all right, so we'll drop that. I'm saying it will be eroded. The rule will change.
The rule will change.
The text on drop-off will be changed.
Okay. Do I think that might eventually happen? Actually, no, Jacob, you should be going first on this one.
Yeah, I've actually talked to Will Pagani on Discord about drop-off, and I've been, the qualification that I think would make maybe enough of a difference would be just adding the same thing you've got for Gamma Launch and for a couple of other cards where you can't be carrying an extract while you're doing it. So at the minute you can be moved whilst carrying an extract via drop-off. But there's a whole load of other cards which don't allow movement while you're carrying extract. So I thought that stuck out to me as a weird thing. However, I think when I approached Will about it, he was just kind of, but is it? And I was this is someone who's done a lot of playing, more than any of us have done, and I think that core set had a huge amount of playtesting go into it, and I think that he's happy with where it is. I'm not convinced that they are going to change it. I do think it makes the restricted list, though. So I am not taking you up. I am taking you up on that one, and I'm gonna go 4 beers. Yeah, I do have a thumb, I promise.
Okay, so for me, are we talking, like, if the question was most people will feel that drop-off deserves a nerf, I would probably side with you, because I do think it actually genuinely does. Maybe not a huge nerf, and I don't like the word degenerate for it. It is really, really good, and I don't necessarily agree with Jacob that I don't think the core set is tested quite as much as some people think that it is, because I think for timing purposes of when that needed to get released and whatnot, I'm not sure that it had a chance to like play test drop off with all of these future flying characters and whatnot that were coming down the road. Like what I guess the question is, did the core set get completed and sent to like print all of this stuff before they had a chance to play test Thor? Right? Like, he's far enough down the road. Like, did you figure out Thor by the time you figured out the core set? Maybe not. But I think it should receive some sort of nerf. The extract limitation would probably do it, because just not being able to pick up someone carrying a hammer is pretty impactful, right? Mm-hmm. And that starts shifting a lot of those things. Do I think it's going to happen by the end of the summer? Fuck no. I'm in for 5 beers on this one. There's no way it's getting nerfed by the end of the summer.
Gen Con is the end of the summer, though. So
there is no Gen Con. What are you talking about?
Well, Gen Con timing.
This is 2020. No way. I'm in for 5. It is not happening this summer.
All right.
Do I think it should happen? Yes. Is it going to happen anytime this soon? No. We would need like really strong empirical evidence before they make, a first nerf to a card. So bonus round?
Bonus round.
Okay, so Jacob, why don't you explain your bonus round proposition, and you can start us off on this one.
Okay, so this is a combined proposition, and we're looking at the Infinity Gems, and we're each going to pick which Infinity Gem we think by the end of the summer is going to be the most played and the least played. And that's not just with Thanos, that's with all of the characters they can be taken with, inclusions in rosters and in lists. Which ones are going to be the ones that you're going to see time and again, and which ones are going to be the ones you just never see. The way this works is we'll agree a stake, and then everyone who gets it right, or we judge to have got it right, wins that from the people who got it wrong. So let's say I get it right, then and we bet 3 beers, let's say, then I get 3 beers from Charles and 3 beers from Jamie. So we're going to do this for which one is the least played and which one is the most played.
Okay, well, I'm glad you explained that it was not just Thanos, because for some reason in my head when I was originally thinking about this, I was thinking Thanos specifically. That does change my answer a little bit. So, Jacob, why don't you start us off? Let's do least played first.
Least played. I think there's a clear candidate for this. I think the least played is going to be the Time Gem. There's a couple of reasons for that. If you look at the characters it can be taken on, it can only be taken on Thanos and Corvus Glaive. I think people are going to be very excited about Corvus Glaive with the Reality Gem because it's really, really good, and it only costs 1 as opposed to the Time Gem having a threat cost of 2. I think that Thanos has got a range of options, and none of them, I think, what you want for a Time Gem is someone who's going to be having really impactful extra action. And Thanos has got some great abilities, but the only thing the Time Gem does is potentially give him the option to get more power by doing another strike. And I think there are better gems for getting power than the Time Gem, if that's your problem. So that's why I went for the Time Gem.
Okay. I'm wondering if we're all going to pick 2 threat gems for this one. I'm gonna go with the Space Gem, right? Because isn't it just Thanos and Loki are the only 2 that can currently use the Space Gem? Mm-hmm. While I do think it's going to see some play with Thanos, I think you're not going to see very many rosters that will have both the Space Gem and the Time Gem. I think you're going to be making a choice between the 2, and I think they'll probably be relatively equal with Thanos. But I think seeing the Time Gem pop up on Corvus may happen more than you see the Space Gem pop up on Loki. Like, I think actually seeing the Loki take the Space Gem is not going to be terribly common. So I'm going to go with Space Gem as my pick for what will be the least used. Jamie?
All right, so I'm going to break tradition here. I'm not going with the 2-threat gem. I'm going with the 1-threat gem, and I'm going to say the Soul Gem.
That's really risky, right? Because we don't even know what Doctor Strange does.
Right. So I personally... He is. I personally like the Soul Gem for the weird shenanigans you can do, but it is a very corner case gem. Like, you really... I think the way you need to play the Soul Gem, not a lot of people are going to be playing that way. And again, like Jacob said, you just want to smash face. Soul Gem isn't really a smash face gem. So that's kind of why I think that one is going to end up being the least played, because it is definitely more of a finesse control style gem.
Okay.
It's one I seriously considered as well. You're right. It's the most complicated gem, probably. Yeah. So you've got to kind of understand it and understand what you want to do with it and have a plan for it in a way that you don't as much for the other ones. So I can totally understand why you picked it, but I think you're wrong.
I can't imagine the Soul Gem is not going to end up being good on Doctor Strange. There's no way he doesn't have a bunch of superpowers. And so And I think the big one for Thanos is you're just like, you're going to take power or soul. You're going to take one or the other. And I think some players are going to find that they like, because I think the power gem is going to be really nice for early turn plays where it sets up, you know exactly how much power you're going to have. It sets you up to do like power gem plus mind gem. So you can do 2 portals plus a mind stone. But is it potentially better to run the soul gem, right? Because with the soul gem, you'll probably generate more power than the power gem does over the course of a full game, but you probably don't get to do the double port turn 1. And so, I don't know. It's a trade-off. It'll be interesting to see where that lies.
Yeah, the other thing with the soul gem is you're not in control of the power. It's not predictable.
Yeah.
So, do you know what, Jamie? You might be right.
Ooh, yeah.
But
I like hearing that.
Yeah. Whoa.
No, you're wrong. It's the time gem.
Well, I mean, you're both wrong. It's the space gem, but sure. Jacob, why don't you give us the most played gem?
Okay, the most played gem. This one ties in exactly to what you were just saying. I think the most played gem is going to be the power gem. I think people are going to have turn 1 plays with Thanos that they want to do, where they want to guarantee having that power. I think it's going to see a lot of play in Guardians rosters as well, because it goes on both Star-Lord and Ronan. So I think you're going to see people who aren't playing Thanos at all playing with the power gem. The fact it's got 3 characters that can take it, I think that makes it really, really appealing. I think Ronan at 5 threat with a power gem is really good. Yeah. I think it's got the widest number of characters. I think it's the most reliable, and people are going to be leveraging it to do cool stuff with Thanos.
All right, Jamie, what do you think is the most played power, or the most played power gem, the most played gem?
Yes, the most played power gem will be the power gem. I actually agree with Jacob on this one. That one, it enables so many turn 1 plays. It gets played on a bunch of different characters. It's guaranteed power, which lets you plan out a lot easier. It's only 1 threat, so it is very, very easy to include into rosters. Absolutely 100% the power gem. Like, whenever I'm putting lists together that include gem bearers that can take the power gem, I'm almost automatically putting the power gem on and then moving on and picking everything else up.
All right, well, so to elaborate on this particular question, I think there's 3 real possibilities here, right? I think there's 3 that are definitely not, and we just covered all 3 of them as our picks for the week, right? You know that none of those 3 are going to be the most played. I think we probably all agree there. And I do think the other 3 are the real contenders, and it has to do with how much they're going to see play on other characters. I think reality is in the conversation, because I think it's going to be very popular with Thanos teams that want to use Thanos to punch people. And then it's also going to see a lot of play with Corvus. When you want Corvus to punch people, I think reality, and it'll be kind of dependent on how much people decide to play meteors and scrolls and stuff. And I think that's going to come up a lot with those characters. So that's going to make people play reality even more, where sometimes Thanos has got 2 gems and Corvus will still take the reality gem. Then Mind Stone is the other one worth consideration, because I do think the Mind Stone on Thanos is fantastic. It is. If I were to just pick like the one that's going to end up being the most impactful, I would probably pick the Mind Stone. And I think people are going to start realizing just how good it is on Loki as well, especially after they're playing it on Thanos. And so I think it's those 2 and the power. Power being on both Star-Lord and Ronan is, I think, what probably, tilted things for both of you guys to say power. But I will say, as I've been testing Guardians, and as the person who's like, I think Guardians is the team to beat, I don't think we're going to see the power gem hit Star-Lord that much in just the way that the team breakdown. With my testing so far, while I don't have any problem with the power gem, I think where you want the numbers for each of these is going to lead you towards keeping Star-Lord at 3 threat. Is it solid on Ronan? Absolutely. Man, the big question is going to be, is Thanos going to take the power gem enough to push it over the top and make it like the most played? And maybe with the average player, but I'm going to I can't go with what both of you guys said. There's no way that my inner nerd could let myself do that. I'm going to say it's tough, because I think the Mind Stone is going to be the most impactful, but I think the Reality Stone might actually end up being the most played. And I mean, I think that's going to be a hard thing for us to navigate, but I think in general, if we were to play a ton of games against all sorts of different people, I feel like if we tallied up all of those games from now until the end of the summer, I think you will probably see the Reality Stone used against you the most. If you were to just tally them all up. Part of that, I think, is going to be testing. I think a lot of people are going to be excited to test Corvus and the Reality Stone, and so we're going to do a lot of testing that's going to involve those. So I'm going to go reality on this one. And so I have a proposition for all three of you. Since we're going to need someone to officially basically like lay out who is right on each one of these questions. Mm-hmm. And we could do one person. So what I'm going to propose is why don't we have Pat from across the Bifrost come the end of August, we'll say, Pat, these were our questions, and let his opinion be the final say on who's right and who's wrong. Does that work for everyone?
Fine with that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, Pat doesn't know we're putting him in this spot. I just feel like let's have Pat do it. He's going to play a lot of games. He's going to talk to a lot of people. I feel like I think we can all agree that if Pat, what he settles on at the end of the summer, I'm good with that. You guys good with that?
Yeah, man, I'm good with that as well. I think
I have a feeling we're all going to be drunk. That's what I think.
Yep, that's going to be perfect.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap up this episode. So, Jacob, thank you for this idea. I'm really interested to see how this all plays out. I'm going to have some good opportunities to try to make Jamie eat his words.
And then drink his beer.
Yeah. Theoretically. Or wine, all of the above. But this was a really cool idea. I'm glad you said it originated from listening to like a sports podcast, and they were making predictions for next year. Next year's sport.
Yeah, they do it kind of all through the season. It's from the Around the NFL podcast. Yeah. They bet sandwiches, though, because they work for the NFL. So they have to be corporate and proper, and they can't bet money or alcohol. But no, alcohol is definitely the better way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like if they're working for the NFL, it's like betting Budweisers, right? Like, isn't... But yeah, well, maybe once we hit September, maybe we'll do a new round of these and go through the end of the year. And we'll have a new set of...
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Yes. That's a very good idea. I do like that. Although we need a little bit less of Charles explaining for 5 minutes while he's wrong, while both Jacob and I are right about the most popular one. We need to cut that down a little bit.
Well, I'm sorry that you guys didn't back up your opinions enough.
We don't need to, because we're right and everyone knows we're right. We don't have to argue the point.
I like how both of you were like, man, Guardians is going to get played a ton and everyone's going to take the power gem, after saying that I was wrong about how much you're going to see Guardians.
No, I said Ronan. I think Ronan's going to see a lot of play, not necessarily in Guardians.
I don't think Ronan's going to see a ton of play with the power gem outside of Guardians. Maybe in Black Order.
Yep.
I think it's going to be hard to squeeze in Ronan with the power gem.
But there's one way to find out, and apparently that's to ask Pat.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, I mean, I normally try to end these episodes with some sort of like OP reference, but I feel like this is going to be one where we're just all going to be drunk. Like, there's no OP here. There is just intoxication. So, thank you guys for listening, and I guess you'll get drunk with us. Peace.
Bye.